Welcome to N5D Radio's Cosmic Awakening Show, where we are serving this galaxy and beyond. My name is Michelle Walling, and I'm a holistic life coach, radio show host, webmaster, and writer. My purpose here on the earth is to reach as many people as possible with a database of articles, videos, and radio shows that will help aid you in your spiritual awakening. At the Cosmic Awakening Show, we encourage you to question everything. A special thanks to Greg Prescott of N5D for sponsoring this show, and he posts all of my shows on n5d.com and N5D's YouTube channel. You can also check out all of my work, my articles and videos and interviews at one place, cosmicstarseeds.com. That's a database of everything. You can find out about booking a session with me on my website, michellewalling.com. HowToExitTheMatrix.com is a website that I created to uncover the true nature of our reality, and WooWooMedia.com is a no-holds-barred platform for everything paranormal, supernatural, and metaphysical. I'm also the creator of thestarchildren.net, which is a database of articles and videos that support star children and their parents. And all of these links can be found in the info section of the YouTube video below. So I have a few announcements. And first is the New Earth Ascension Fund that I have started on my website, michellewalling.com. In 2017, 50% of all my sessions will go to this fund to help those in dire need for a session, or perhaps they just need to get out of a quick sticky situation. And so if you need assistance, if you really need some counseling and you don't have the funds, that's what this New Earth Ascension Fund is for. We don't want to leave anyone behind. And I encourage you, if you have the ability, to donate to the fund so that I can give a free session to someone. Also, as I've mentioned on my last show, coming in 2017, I will have some online classes, and you can go to my website and click on the classes button to see some upcoming topics. Perhaps even send me a private message if you're interested in seeing one of those topics come up first, or if you'd like to co-host one of my classes. I have an associate program in the works as well on my website. If you have a way to give me an associate code where people, when they check out, they can put the code in there, then I could get credit for them signing up, and everyone can benefit in the end, as we need to keep my websites up and running, keep me with a roof over my head, and be able to provide this free service to you of these shows and these articles. So, with that, I'd like to introduce our guest tonight. Arno Pinar is an author that has been writing for DreamCatcherReality.com, and I've published many of his articles on HowToExitTheMatrix.com. Today we're going to be talking about numbers, numerology, words, deprogramming the matrix, and how we can stop the use of words to describe our lives, and how words have kept programs running in the subconscious mind. Arno Pinar, welcome to the Cosmic Awakening Show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you came on the show after contributing so many articles to my website, howtoexitthematrix.com. And what I'd like to do is introduce you to our audience and just let them know a little bit about how your awakening began and how you got started in writing articles and helping people deprogram themselves.
Right. My name is Arno. I grew up in Durban, South Africa. Spent most of my life in South Africa, but then, after school, I decided to go and work in game reserves as a field guide. Initially, it was the first job I did in the Matrix. It was very rewarding, especially in the game lodge industry, I met people from all over the world, and got exposed to many different cultures, because the game lodge industry in South Africa is quite big, and it's quite a big international market. So immediately when I entered that scene, my consciousness, sorry, did start expanding, because what I do believe is that every single person that you do connect with in your life, you do become one with that person. It's like when they say, consciousness getting to know itself. This whole experience is getting to know itself. Well, the only way you can get to know yourself is by meeting and getting to know other people, connecting with other people. That's the only way I believe you can actually expand your consciousness. But back to myself, I worked about 3 years in the game lodge industry, 2 3 years, and then I decided to join the Ubuntu Liberation Movement when I was about, say, I think I was 23. Spent about 6 months there. It's like a community project in Waterval-Boven, which is about 2.5 hours east from Johannesburg. A guy called Michael Tallinger is heading the project, and I was working there for about 6 months with a bunch of other guys from Europe, trying to help the community. But some of the other things we also did was, of course, the Stone Circle tours, because this area of the world has thousands and thousands of ancient ruins, which have been said to date back more than 100,000 years ago. It's like these massive stone walls, about 2 3 meters high each, all forming these geometric patterns all over the hills of the Lowveld, which is central, eastern, southern Africa. I met a guy, Robert Burman, too, in the area, who was also here trying to help out the Ubuntu Liberation Movement, trying to help out the community. He's an author, and I spent quite a lot of time with him. I actually lived with him for 2 3 months in the area. We got along really well, and he was a great inspiration for me at the time. And then later on, I went to Thailand. After that experience, I went to Thailand, worked as an English teacher, and I worked for about 5 months, when at the same time I was also writing articles for dreamcatcherreality.com, and it was a big hit. You can say, what I was writing striked notes for many people regarding what is happening in the reality. And the other thing is that I also have to say is that most of my inspiration for my writing does come from very wise people. Two teachers of mine in Durban, they go by the name of Dai Clem, metaphysical alchemists. They've literally been healing people for over 35 years, and they do a kind of deprogramming where they basically run grids of words through with people, and basically alchemizing the words. So the theory, I don't like to say theory, but the theory of the whole deprogramming the matrix is about making conscious all the unconscious words that you have used in your experience so far to give meaning to reality in a way. So if you imagine like an entire dictionary, inside of a dictionary you have the cause of the whole reality we actually experience, because words give rise to form. Words in a way are form, and when you're using primarily mind, you are dictated primarily by words. So deprogramming is a lot about just conscientizing all the words you've programmed yourself with, and slowly but surely letting it all go, which does lead to yourself reaching a formless state. And we'll get a little bit more into that later. But back to Thailand. Spent 5 months there, and after I started writing for Dreamcatcher, I left my job. I started traveling. I traveled to Laos. I traveled to Cambodia, visited many of the temples, and eventually I came back home. And after about a year there, and started focusing on the book I decided to write, which is called Deprogram the Matrix. And a year later, I've just recently found a publisher, and the book is going into printing early next year. And basically, this book contains very violent awakening for anybody that wants to, go to the root of what's going on exactly in this reality, and to take responsibility of themselves to regain their own reality instead of sitting with the reality of the architect, or of whoever created what's going on here in the matrix. So yeah, that's about me.
Very interesting. There's a lot in there that I did not know, especially the Ubuntu involvement that you had. I would like to touch on that for a few moments, if you don't mind, because I'm a very big fan of Michael Tellinger and of his work with the area of South Africa, and basically showing that our history has all been, a lie, and that there have been extraterrestrials who have come to the planet and mined, and the first evidence that we have of that is in South Africa, of the mining
Yeah,
circles. And so, but
yeah,
not to get off topic about Ubuntu, I believe that Michael's work with Ubuntu is setting the stage for a new consciousness unfolding, to where we will be able to seamlessly move into that. But at the current time, we still require money on this planet to eat, because the collective has chosen that as a way. How did it go at the Ubuntu place? Was it really hard to live like that, or did it work out pretty well? And you were basically creating a situation that would be accessible by the collective consciousness at another point in time, when the collective consciousness actually raises to that level.
yeah. Ubuntu was a great experience. A very awakening experience too. Uh, Michael is a great idealist, if I can put it that way. His work is incredible. The book he wrote about a new way for living our lives is a brand new system, which can be, consciously embodied by us on planet Earth, if we decide to do so. Um, the strange thing that I did realize is that he he can I say, is more of a politician. He was actually running for elections in the recent elections in South Africa quite recently. And when you do go to Waterval Boven, you will also notice that there is not really any community projects going on in Boven. So this might sound like a bit of how can I say, a bit of a surprise to some people, but I think all people collectively need to realize that everything you see on the internet is not true. Um, a guy told me the other day that in Macedonia there's thousands of rich kids that are making a lot of money, selling a lot of fake news on the internet, and there are a lot of con artists out there. And what me and a group of people from Europe at Ubuntu did realize is that the the money being donated for the whole project is actually not being used for any going community projects. So by the use of the internet, we did notice that this Mr. Challenger is actually conning a large part of the globe, and not really contributing to the liberation movement, to the movement that he stands for, which is why I and a few colleagues of mine did leave the place eventually. But that is a done topic. I wouldn't like to go into that any further. That's all I would like to say about that. So
Well,
I think we can go to the next topic.
that's just damn fascinating. I have to say, because my higher self did say that I needed to address that when you were talking, and the main thing that I wanted to finish up with that is that the basic hard cold facts are, as we are still in 3D 4D, we still are running in the program of the matrix, and until there comes a time where we have what I think will be a flash of an incoming wave or flash of light to change our reality for those who are ready to move out of the matrix, then the fact is that we are still in this reality. Most of us agreed to be in this reality, and we knew what we were here to do. And some people have been stuck in this reality for a very long time, just simply because they've forgotten who they are,
Yeah,
and they've forgotten how
yeah,
they were planning on coming in to master the game. And so
yeah,
I do appreciate your honesty in bringing that forth, because one of the things that we write about, you and I as authors, is that you've got to still question every single thing in this reality, because it is a holographic matrix designed
yeah,
by master programmers who created a situation where we could incarnate into and play a game.
yeah,
And the game will supposedly expand our oversoul, our higher self connection to our oversoul, and supposedly we are expanding at an exponential rate that cannot be had anywhere else in the universe. Would you agree with that?
yeah. I do agree. I think the entire universe is actually going through what we are going through at the moment. I don't believe in the celestial hierarchy where you do get advanced civilizations and not so advanced civilizations. I think the entire universe is the digital hologram.
Well, there's I've asked this question several times to myself as well. What is the definition of a universe? Because our bodies can be a universe. Inside of our bodies, we can have a whole
Yeah.
universe. There's something that people talk about, the multiverse, meaning,
Hmm.
several universes. Well, if that's true and our bodies are
Yeah.
universes, then Earth can actually be a multiverse in itself. But I think the general
Yeah.
description and definition of a universe would be all of the planets inside all of the solar
Hmm.
systems, and all the solar systems create galaxies, and galaxies create a universe, and then there's all these other universes. So here we go with our words. The English language, as
Yeah.
you have described, has been created as part of this control mechanism and confusion to live on this earth, when we're our higher state of being is used to telepathy feelings, not the kind of feelings that we have here, but symbols, light, sound, feelings, all put together, a way higher way of communicating. So, why don't you give a little introduction as to how the human language does limit us and keep us in 3D, when in fact the normal way, everything else seems to be the normal way would be of a higher way of communicating, and what we can do to deprogram ourselves from this, so we can actually move our consciousness into a higher state of communication.
Okay, well, the words do limit you because the words are the main thing that's responsible for the form that you're projecting into the reality. Some people, very creative people, do actually think mainly in pictures instead of words. So your more intellectual person will think mainly in words. It will be just a big dialogue of Q&A inside of a mind of a intellectual person, or a person that is mind based. And then the creative person, will think more in pictures, which is a different way of thinking. But what I'm trying to say is that it's actually the natural to actually think in pictures, and to think of experiences, to think of motion pictures. That is the more creative way of actually manifesting your reality. But when you're overwhelmed by vocabulary, when you entertain dialogue in your mind the entire day, those words that you're using in your psyche do end up dictating your reality very, very much. It's kind of like a virus it's like a virus entering the digital projector, and you start becoming subject to quite intense duality, if I have to put it that way, because now what's happening inside you is going to start happening. What's happening inside you is going to start happening uh, outside you too. So you will start, materializing what we call agent Smiths that try and press your buttons, targeting that which you actually have a problem with, but the problem is with yourself. Um, the other thing, of course, is that you know words, for example, angry, sad, and depression. All these things are just words, and it's something that you can subscribe to. So maybe you're feeling bad. Maybe you felt bad when you were a teen, and you Google search, oh, depression. What's depression? You start reading about depression. That's like loading a program right there. You see, so it comes out of negativity. So usually there is something wrong with the person. Things are not going well, and then the person would start searching for a therapy, for a remedy, anything to help out the problem. But the person unconsciously makes the problem even worse, because now you kind of you're going out of the center, because you're already out your center. Now you're even going further out the center, because now you're saying no, it's depression, or no, it's a chemical imbalance, or no, I don't exercise enough. No, I don't eat the right diet. Now you start subscribing to, a lot of things that are keeping you busy, and it's all these things that are keeping you busy that is keeping you out of your reality, out of your now, because your reality is in the now. The only reason you don't enjoy your own reality is because you're not in the now. Firstly, the reason you're not in the now is because you're subscribed to the Elohim. Maybe it's Yahweh, maybe it's the cherubim, maybe I don't know what it is, but people tend to subscribe to all these programs, and they become uh, like rings, like a ring around Saturn. You become just a ring around something in the center, because you're not occupying the center. And what I do know is that words are mainly responsible for this, which is why we also call it spells, and why stories, religions, any books, anything that basically involves form, which you attach yourself to, becomes the eclipse, becomes the shadow that you're going to have in your reality. It becomes the negative and the positive, the yin and the yang. And we need to take more responsibility of our own creative essence, our own creative rights, which is an infinite spring that never stops, and it's coming out of us, but we don't tap into that because we block it. And what we block it with is unnecessary form relating to language, relating to words, relating to the English language, which is responsible for creating eidolons, because you can use words in different combinations to give rise to different ideas, and this is the main thing responsible for having a life in the psyche of people. Um, for I think the English language was created to possess mankind, to tell you the truth. Um, it's a it's a major thing. There are many personas running around on the planet that cause separation between the human race, and personas are basically constructed through programming. You're not actually supposed to have a persona. You're definitely not supposed to have one personality. The one personality that people believe they falsely are just this one thing. If you are just that one thing, then you lose your oneness, because if you're just one thing, you're not balanced. You're not multidimensional, of course, if you're just one thing. And when I say you lose your one, well, you can't resonate with everyone out there. You can't be one with everyone out there if you're still limited by a linear set of programming that gives rise to the persona, and of course the ego. And of course the main thing that does keep the programming active and the psyche is emotions connected to it, which is why they have the cartoons for the little kids that would show a particular image. They'll say a particular word, and there'll be a particular emotion connected to that image that they portray in the cartoon, because the child immediately gets loaded with the emotion connected to the program or the word. And once the emotion is connected to it, then cellular memory starts to play a role. So when cellular memory starts to play a role, then it can be reactivated, which is what we call a button. So, for example, I'll just use the concept of God. So most people are connected with the word God in a very revering way, in a very respectful way. God is everything, God knows all, etc., etc. And for a person like that, when someone says the word God, then immediately a feeling will arise in that person, which is the cellular memory actually connected to that word. Um, so you make that feeling arise in that person. It's very much the same with somebody that is trying to hide a very sensitive past memory or past trauma. If anything in the form of a sentence, resonates with a past trauma of another person that they're trying to hide, then also suddenly all that emotion will come up in that person via cellular memory. But the cellular memory is connected through the mind too, which is connected to words or a story that's been energized so much that it is actually who you are, who you experience yourself as.
Okay, let me just jump in and ask a few questions before we go on to numerology of
Hmm.
words and things like that. So words, are they part of the hijack part of the matrix, or was there a third dimensional physical reality that was originally intended to have an experience without a hijack of words?
I believe there was a dimension without the hijack of words that was experienced on Earth before the advent of words and knowledge and data, which is from an extraterrestrial source, I believe.
Okay. And so, if everything comes from source, though, then perhaps this fall in density and fall into this matrix of words was just another experience that souls could have, and but they didn't realize that they were going to get lost here.
Mm. Sorry, your question. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Well, I mean, if everything comes from source, then this matrix
Yeah.
that we have that's controlled with words,
Mm.
it comes from beings who are dominating and controlling, and they're allowed to do that because this is a free will universe.
Yeah.
But basically, they got the people, the beings, the souls that came here to experience this seem to have been um, lost, seem to have gotten lost. So,
Yeah.
in reality, this is, it's not such a necessarily a bad thing because there's no really good or bad, but just
Yeah.
seeing the control system for what it is the way that you win the game or get out of it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. For sure. You need to see everything as it is to get yourself out of it. For sure.
We're kind of like giving a cheat sheet to the world. Okay, this is what you're in. You've forgotten who
Mm.
you are. This this is how you've been controlled, and this is how you've been lost for so long
Mm.
in this reality. But now you're
Yeah.
being called to stand in the power of who you are, and to do that,
Yeah.
we've got to deprogram ourselves from
Yeah.
the things that we've allowed to control us.
Yes. Sure.
Okay,
That's yeah.
so numerology comes into this with the words.
Yes.
So, like, what is the numerology of the word God? When you use that word and you said that word, I got the EBGBs. I don't like that word. I don't care if I don't care if
Yeah.
people want to use that as the same as source or the same as prime creator or the same as the creator of the matrix or the creator. I just
Yeah.
don't like that word. I mean, backwards it spells dog, which to me would mean
Yeah.
perhaps a being from the Sirius star system that came here as an agreement to, okay, I'm going to go provide um, this matrix. So it's not a bad thing. But
Mm-mm.
it seems to me that that would be
No.
someone from the Sirius star system that really enjoyed this domination game a little too much and decided to call themselves God.
Yeah, I think the one who decided to call himself God would be from Venus, as far as I've been taught. As far as I understand, the Pleiadians are the ones that actually started this entire thing.
Yes, the
Um,
Anunnaki, which means from
yeah,
from somewhere else or something like that.
yeah. I don't know where they're from. I don't know who they are, and I don't actually care who they are. As far as I know, like most most of because remember the Anunnaki also. That's what I always say. The Anunnaki also, exists because of the word, because of an idea, an image. A Sumerian tablet is just as good as a paper on your exam pad. That's the way I see it. There might be some signs. Yes, there are signs on the planet of giants, for sure. Giants have roamed the planet, and for sure things have happened in our cosmic history we probably have no idea of. And that that I've made peace with, because I mean, when you try and get to the bottom of it, it's like a massive rabbit hole, and eventually you do get to the bottom of it, and you're like, okay, well, now I need to go up the hole again, back to the light, you see.
Yes, and
So
I did talk about that in my latest article, and you do remind me that we need to focus on how to exit the matrix and not what started the matrix,
Yeah,
because that's exactly what I
be-
said in my last article, how to exit the matrix. But I was just
yeah.
doing that, I guess, out of habit and for the listeners. But let's focus now on, because I
Hmm.
think most people who are going to be tuning into this do have an idea of all of
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
let's get back on
Okay,
the topic, which is
okay,
numerology and the
okay.
words.
Yeah. So, um, God is 26 in numerology. So 26 would be the seed number. So A would be 1, Z would be 26. So it's your default Pythagorean numerology method to work out the numbers. And one thing before I do go through this, to let the listeners know how this actually works is through education and the indoctrination and programming of the alphabet and the numerical connections to the letters in the alphabet actually do attain law and order in your subconscious mind. When you do learn the alphabet in school, you go A, B, C, D all the way to Z, and you learn there's 26 letters in the alphabet. So each letter obviously is assigned a number. Now, for some strange reason, these numbers, for example, God is 26. They do form like clusters. So God would be connected to many other words too. And when I do go through the words, you will blatantly see the connections of God and other words that also have 26 as a seed number, and as well 62, because 26 62 is the same numbers, it's just the other way around. So we do relate those two different numbers to each other just because it's the same symbols, just the other way around. Now God is 26, right? Now data also, its seed number is 26. Now if you look at the reality we sit in, uh, data is pretty much God in 3D in
So,
3D matrix.
okay, I have to jump in and say, so are you saying that it's like a computer artificial intelligence program running this, and when we give
Yeah,
words like Anunnaki to it, it makes it come to life as there are Anunnaki only when we interact with it
you
and use
can
our
you can you can
imagination?
you can say so. You can say so. Whatever you can give life to anything. That's the other thing, that the reader can read in my book, that
Mm-hmm.
anything can be made real by you. That's your power. So basically what's happening in the reality is that there are so much forces vying for your power, vying for you to validate it as all that is, which is which is why I'm always saying that, you know, I don't know how much of the planet is sitting in the now, but when I do still go out in general populace, people are not in the now because they are energizing something in their center that is not their own essence.
Mm-hmm.
It's because yeah, Anunnaki's got nothing to do with the now and with what you are doing here, with who you are. So what I'm gonna go through now is more of the words so that you can just see why all the words connected to God is so incredibly overwhelming in the reality, because God is connected to other words. So what happens is when everyone reveres just the word God, nothing to do with a being that created everything, just the word.
Mm-hmm.
That word basically, uh, how can I say, it brings to life an entire program that's connected to it, and the program is connected to it through the numerology, which is the unconscious significance of
Okay.
all words.
Okay. Like mathematics,
Yeah.
mathematics, geometric patterns, sound, and light is how, we
Yes.
experience creation. Okay.
Yes, yes. So, can I carry on?
Yeah. Yeah, because I may have a
Okay.
different viewpoint of the word God,
Mm.
but by the time you're done.
Okay, for sure, you will. So data was the second one. Eat is the third one. Eat is also 26, seed number 26. And now you know why most people can't go without eating.
Mm-hmm.
26, hide. 26,
Interesting.
seed number. The next one is hash, which is kind of like a hashtag. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
cross. The next one is clef. So clef in the music is a sign placed at the beginning of a line of written music. So it's like the foundation of music,
Mm-hmm.
clef. 62, now it's not 26, 62 the other way around. Doubt. God is doubt. I'm sure you've seen that article before. The only reason you experience a God in your reality is because you doubt, and that is why there is a God.
Hmm.
And then 62, think. 62, books. 62, echelon, hierarchy of rank. 62, insane. 62, border. 62, banished. 62, rebuke. 62, red eye. 62, right. 62, siding. 62, ballot. 62, ruin. 62, referee. God is your referee. 62, under. Now you're under and it is above. 62, calendar. 62, girth. Girth is like a limited size because you will
Mm-hmm.
have limited size and a limited manifestation when you're still experiencing a God. 62, calendar. Sorry, I got that already. 62, digital.
Hmm.
62, 62, 11. Now you know why 11 is such a major symbol in
Wow.
the reality. The word 11, eh? 62, pass phrase. 62, dollar. 62, bricks. And that's all I have for the God program. There is a little bit more, but for now I just don't have the slide. But I could go to it quickly, or I could shift to the 911, the code of 911, which is also, I believe, quite one we should run through now for the listeners, because if you do really hear what I'm saying and you notice what's going on, it's a massive shift in consciousness for you right there if you were not aware
Yeah,
of
let me just ask a quick question before we move forward that I think the listeners might want to know. So the number 11 spelled out Eleven.
mhm.
If in our reality, as we use our digital clocks and we see 1111 coming up all the time, is this the God code then trying to keep us in the matrix?
Maybe you can say so. I think probably that's why, like, when you go out into the matrix, the number 11 will come up everywhere. So you can probably say so. Yeah, it's probably true.
Or it just identifies that you're in the matrix?
Yeah, that too. That too.
But see, what about the people who aren't conscious of the fact that they're looking around seeing 11 everywhere? You know, that seems to be a part of your awakening that you see. So basically, what
Hmm.
the veil is lifting, we're able to see that we're in the matrix when when you don't leave the house and you don't have a clock around you except for on
Yeah.
your phone or your computer, you're not going to experience that. But you go out and you get in your car and your license plates everywhere, 11 everywhere, and maybe even triple sevens and things like that. So I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of interpretation because we can make it whatever we want, I think, but there's a lot of interpretation that the 11 or the
Hmm.
1111 is a positive thing. Would you
Yeah.
would you say that it is, or would you say that it's basically just defining where you are in that moment in the matrix?
I think me personally, I've also experienced the 11 occurrence in my life, and usually it did come up the most when I was in the matrix, working somewhere, traveling through a city, going from place to place, meeting people. Like when I'm very deep in the matrix, I will experience the number 11 quite regularly, because it is a number. So when you do enter a reality that's built out of numbers and words, that number for some reason does kind of jump up all the time. You can make it a positive thing. You can tell yourself it's my lucky number and feel good every time you see it. Um, it's it's up to you what you want to make of it. But I would just like to highlight that it is connected to God and via numerology, which does does seem interesting
It
to
is. It is. Well,
say the least. And of course also the number 11 resembles on. Sorry, because I mean in binary code,
right.
if something is 1 1, it's on. If something is 0 0, that means it's off. So it could also be the sign for the mind to switch on,
Mm.
to be on.
Yes, I think what where I'm kind of muffling things up is the word God and thinking I'm in a God matrix. Maybe not is it's not a negative thing. It just is what it is. So, yeah, having the number
Yeah.
11 in your reality when you're out in the matrix is basically you're just reading the code. It's not good or bad. You're just
Mm,
reading that you're in the matrix and that you're on.
yeah.
You're
Yeah.
on duty as a
Mm.
matrix reader. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a new way. See, you
Yeah.
you definitely have sparked a new way of me of thinking about this for me. So let's continue with the next thing that you wanted to talk about. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Um, the next one is the 9/11, which is, we all know, the major numbers. Trump was elected, or I think he was elected on 11/9. We have the Twin Towers, and we have 911 for the police. And funny thing is that when you go into the numerology of 911, you do find also a few interesting connections, which I will also run through now. So it's not 911 in order. It's 119. The words I'm gonna say now. It's 119. Just because 911 is just a bit too much. You can't get to such a total. So it's again the same numbers, just the other way around. So it's 119, which also comes to 11, because 1 plus 1 plus 9
Oh,
comes to
interesting.
11, and 11 of course connected to 8, connected to God. So the first one is sequester, to set apart, segregate. The next one is 119, star U. Star U is something I've just found personally. I was exposed to Pokemon when I was small, which was a cartoon I watched, and a lot of the names of the Pokemons for some reason also held some spells. So Star U is one I found, which is basically a pentagram. The next one is 119, optical disc. 119, supplant. Optical disc, supplant. Optical disc is a data storage medium that can be written to and read using a low powered laser beam. And that kind of, for me, shows a connection to the digital hologram we're experiencing as a movie, as a motion picture,
Hmm.
because the optical disc is pretty much responsible for that.
Where's the
The next one
laser?
is
Where's the laser? In our
the
eyes? In our brain?
mm, the laser, as far as I know, is uh, is in the fornix, because that's where light is generated inside of
Where's
your,
that?
the fornix. I'm not a doctor, please, Michelle.
So, I'm sorry. Is that in our eyes? Is that
And I
in
don't
our
think it's in your eyes. The
brain?
laser, look, the laser is coming out of you. You are
Okay.
projecting
Okay.
into the reality.
Okay.
Um,
We are the
Another funny
laser.
connection is 119 is Star of David,
Mm.
and then 119, one and only 119 vaporware. For the listeners, vaporware is basically software that is announced by computer corporations that actually don't exist. That's what
Hmm.
that's what vaporware is. 191, also 11, world renowning. 191, pro-abortionist. 119, receptors. 119, supermoon. So also what I have noticed is that the moon is very much also connected to many programs, even new moon and super moon. Uh, we have so many words actually that are relating to the moon that we actually do also keep the whole program of the moon active in our reality by using words as new moon, super moon, so many different words for moon. It's just the same like the goddess of the moon. I can't remember her name now. Maybe you can help me with that.
No, I'm not
um
good with
I'm
names.
not, yeah, I'm also not good, but you get the picture. And then also 119 is all seeing eye, and that's connected to super moon. And then 119 is foundation. So basically in the code it's like they're trying to make the all seeing eye the foundation, trying to make the super moon the foundation. And it's a plant, it's a Star of David, it's the one and only. It's like when you go through these words and through these numbers, it's like a map of what is actually happening in the matrix for everyone. And that's why I think it's so fantastic, because if you make conscious all this, you just automatically make shifts in your entire perspective. uh, the next one is 119 exemplary, which is something so good it's worth to copy. 119 erstwhile, which means something that happened in the past or formerly. And then 119 11 is grass burn,
Hmm.
which is just another funny connection. And then 199 overpopulation, 199 mathematical literacy, which you can see in the matrix. We do have a overpopulation of mathematical literacy, words, numbers, etc. So yeah, that's the code of 911 for you right there.
Very interesting. How do you,
Yeah.
once you see this, hmm, we're not just going to be Tibetan monks in a monastery, turning away from all of reality at this time. How do you consciously remove your energy from accepting the Matrix God code in your reality?
By having faith and confidence in yourself that you can do anything. Because you are already more than God. You were there before God was even there. So obviously you do still have that connection to the source, and everything comes, like you said, everything comes from the source, and everything of course also goes back to its source. So all these things do have beginnings. It all has, on the time track, it popped, all these things popped up, and it belongs to time. You, on the other hand, you do not belong to time. So what I'm trying to say is a lot of people don't don't really think that they have the power to basically, reverse whatever it is they're experiencing, if it is in the form of suffering. A lot of people can't basically tap into themselves and send whatever is bothering them, whatever is the disturbance, whatever is causing the ill health. People don't have the confidence in themselves to basically delete it, to basically turn it back to nothing like magic. And
Mm.
what I do also expand on in
Oh, I think I've lost you there for just a second, Arno.
okay, you're coming back.
Okay, I
Coming
can
back.
hear you.
I don't know what's all right. Okay, where where was I? Yeah, about sending one back to zero. Because if we talk about nothing and something, so the only reason you have a problem is because you have a something and you don't know that it actually comes from nothing, and you don't know it is actually emptiness. It is completely an empty illusion. Yet the power you have, because you are connected to the nothingness, and the nothingness can give power, can give rise, can give manifestation to anything. You're just unconscious of your own power, of the things that you have elected so far in this lifetime, also in previous lifetimes. Things you have actually energized to such a point that it is part of the reality that you experience. But by realizing that it does come out of zero, because zero is the soul, zero is all that is, zero is the whole. Everything that is something does come out of zero, it does come out of nothing. So if you basically want to alleviate yourself from a particular pattern, a particular experience that you have, you can send it back to nothing. Now, there are ways you can do it. You can basically, what I was taught by my teachers is running through the grids, and basically using a mantra, which is called information technology is not information technology. So, for example, if you look at the word anger, you say anger, it is not it. You just tell yourself that it doesn't exist. You tell yourself anger does not exist. It is not it. It only exists as information, really, and as a technology that manifests as an experience, which is digital holographic reality for you right there. Um, you can basically, if that is, if you are in a state of where you need healing, because there are also many people out there that are already in the now, you see. So don't think that it's quite impossible to be in the now. We're in the now right now talking, I think. So you do have the power to alchemize, to
Mm.
turn something back to nothing. And then when you do reach the formless state, either you can go into the monastery and stay in that formless state your whole life, or you could infiltrate the matrix from that formless state. And it's from there that you have the biggest impact on it, and it's from there that you manifest your own reality. People simply cannot manifest their own reality because they're not connected to the soul connection. They're not connected to the 0 point, to the zero. They have no sight of that, because like we were talking about the Saturn rings around, they've just got too many veils and they're still swirling around. And this is the work I'm actually doing, is to show people the way back to that 0 point, back to manifestation. And that's the number one thing that I'm doing
Okay,
right now.
tell me, in your life, in your reality, what are some examples of some things where you're being able to manifest using these tools?
Well, for for starters, since I did experience this awakening, I've basically been manifesting everything that I choose to experience. And you also, like, it's not like I'm going to, think about $1 million and get $1 million. It doesn't work that way, because you are still here for a particular reason, and your higher self does keep you in check, which is something that I've noticed. Your higher self does keep you in check, to keep you in certain places experientially, to do what you're here to do. And it's for you to actually to know what you are actually here to do. And um, if you I guess, like, there's a lot of responsibility involved, because my higher self will keep me in check. Because if I had to get in touch with $1 million 2 years ago, I would have probably destroyed myself, and I'm thankful I have not, because I have noticed that people that do get in touch with that amount of money do eventually destroy themselves. So in a way, your higher self does keep you in check. If we talk about manifestation, well, you know, two years ago, I decided I want to start blogging. I want to give a message to people, and not long after that, I succeeded. I was successful. I manifested that. Then I decided, okay, let me write a book that will change the world. And I thought about it. I did it. I did the work, did the actions, and now, right now, at the end of the year, that's manifesting for me right now. And that just came from a conscious decision and dedication to do what I want to do, to manifest my
Mm-hmm.
own reality. No, nothing of anybody else. So it can, like, manifestation, it can probably be a bit selfish for some people, but that the energy, exactly the energy you need. If you want to manifest your own reality, you have to retract from all of the old, and make that available for yourself. So um, everything I'm going through, I'm choosing. And even if, everyone is choosing something different. Maybe somebody is choosing to experience the club life, to experience the people in the clubs, what everyone up to, why are they going through this experience. You try and understand what people are going through, why they're choosing to go through the experiences. I think, for me, the number one thing that I'm going through is basically getting to the bottom of other people, why it is, what makes them tick, why it is they're doing what they're doing. Because the more I access that, the more I access myself. It's like the whole oneness thing. The closer you get to other hearts, the closer you get to your own heart, and the whole picture kind of starts to become whole and complete, and everything works together in harmony.
Well, thank you for that. And you talked about the moon being part of this programming, the super moon, the new moon, and for so many of us, we had past lives where we were running a program to where we would use the new moon as a manifestation power technique,
Mm,
and so it seems like there's a lot of, I guess maybe the word that comes to mind is paganism, occult, different
yeah,
techniques
yeah,
that, as I've talked about on many articles and many shows, those techniques are not going to really be able to get you anywhere. The more
yeah,
that you awaken to the now moment and know that you
yes,
don't need tools and techniques because that's all part of the past and the programming.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah,
All part of the past.
yeah. Some psychics even have had difficulties tuning in to connect to receive messages from other beings, whether it be departed loved ones or fifth dimensional and higher Pleiadians that they were talking to before, and they've had to just kind of fake it a little while until they get their they can to where they can tune back in. Some people like me, we feel like I feel like that my memory is like being blank slated or cleaned from the
Yeah.
past, especially like even
Yeah.
what I ate yesterday. And I feel I
Mm.
go through these waves of feeling like I'm just here. I have no,
Mm.
a lot of times when I'm by myself, I'm just here and I don't have a lot of wayward thoughts, but I'm just here. I'm just here waking up another day, yet another
Mm.
day, being in the motions of living on earth. And I can't remember a lot of past, and I can't remember names, and I have problems with math and numbers too. So
Yeah.
yeah, what so this is kind of a transitional phase that we're going through. As our consciousness raises, it literally pulls us in and out of the matrix.
Yeah. I do. I do also like. I do notice that uh, time time is imploding more and more. It's like, when the day just goes by in a heartbeat. There,
Yeah.
what I've experienced is that I would sort of disappear from existence without knowing it. Now, don't take me wrong. It's not that, I'm daydreaming or whatever. It's just major spaces of time that seem to have no recollection,
Yeah.
uh, which is also another interesting topic that we could
Well, it kind of
talk
gives
about
you
because
the feeling that time is speeding up only because you're not remembering that
yeah,
linear progression of experience of time.
yes, yes, and the memory, as our consciousness does become higher and higher, I do think that our memory will become a clean slate every single second of every single day. That is your natural state, of course, to
Oh
actually
yeah,
not be
that's
governed,
interesting.
to not be governed by your memory. So just like an animal that is conscious in the now, in the moment, all the time, we're actually supposed to be like that too.
Oh,
And
Arno, there's a lot of people that aren't gonna, they're gonna have some fear around that
mm, well, it's the most
because
exciting.
they feel like it's true. But I know that a lot of people will feel like, who are they if they're not the person that their son thinks that they are, or their
Well,
father
you
thinks
you
that they
you
are?
that's right there. Like when you don't know who you are anymore, it's right there where you can meet yourself again as the one infinite creator on earth. Um, Everyone is you. It is only actually, one being on the earth experiencing itself in separation. And the more the more our memory becomes, you know, how can I say, defragmented, the more our memory becomes non-existent, non-significant, the more we will meet ourselves as the one infinite creator on the planet.
Okay, and we're supposed to do that in physicality and still connect. We're still supposed to be
Yeah,
able
we're
to
gonna
communicate
we're gonna
with,
do that.
okay.
We're going to do that. It's this oneness is going to return in our lifetime. I do believe you will be able to go anywhere and meet yourself as yourself.
Hmm. Now, some
That is,
people,
yeah,
are going to choose to go out of body and be more etheric, and not just because they did not do their inner work, but some people would prefer not to be in the body and go through this experience as well. So there's different people are going to do different things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
no comment on that, but like personally, I'm not so sure if I'm going to keep a physical body or not because different people came here for different reasons, and I came
Yeah.
here as an assistant. And when I'm done
Yes.
with my job, I got to go on to another
Mm.
job. There's so many other jobs that I'm working on that I may want to join one of those other realities. But
Yes.
yeah, so that's just what I meant by that.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Yeah. About the body and being in the body. Yeah, for sure. These bodies were not created by us, I believe. Um, but the only way for you to be here is to be in that body.
Yeah.
And and in that case, okay, you're in that body. So in a sense, try and make yourself as home as you can in there, because that is your sports car for as long as you're here.
Now, what does it mean to be centered in the body?
To be centered in the body, it means to be grounded, as
Okay.
far as I'm concerned. To be completely um, grounded, because what I do know is if you too mind centered, if you possessed, not by a demon but by data. Let's put it
Thoughts?
that way.
Yeah, data. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. You do go out of your body, so that
Hmm.
that makes
What do you
you
mean
that
you go
makes you
out of your
less.
body? So you're
Every
not
time
completely in the body.
you're not completely in the now. Every time that you have a thought, when you have a
Hmm.
thought, you go out of the now. You
Wow.
go out of your center, because that thought has its source in the mind, which is not the original mind. So
Oh.
for the listeners, there is a original mind and there is a copy mind. The copy mind is the intellectual data filled digital projector. That copy mind that has infiltrated the planet via information and knowledge, is the source of yourself, not being in the now, not being centered right here, right now in your body. And of course, it's also the source of not getting enough oxygen. And of course, oxygen is basically is your chi energy. Oxygen is what is the number one ingredient of a high vibratory state, of a high level of chi energy in your body. And when you don't have a high level of chi energy in your body, you get all the sorts of ailments. Cancer is definitely uh, one of them.
So is the game to stay in the body through being in the now and healing yourself? Is that how you win the game, or are there other ways to win the game?
Well, that's one of the ways. I'm definitely not saying this is the one and only, way to take back your creative rights or your manifesting rights. Um, so
Is it the most prestigious
yeah,
way right now? If you're able to do this, you've basically won. I from what I understand, you've won some rights to use the body as a physical vehicle to travel the universe. Can you do that without a body?
I'm sure you can
Well, with
without any body.
technology,
With technology,
you probably could with
um,
technology. But I guess what I'm saying is
yeah,
that even though this body was, we don't have the original mind, we don't have the original brain. I think that the bonus or the one where you get the most points for winning the game is that you can learn to use the body as a
mm,
spaceship.
yeah, yes, yeah. I definitely agree with that. I mean, in this reality, your body, like you said earlier in the interview, the whole universe is inside your body.
That's so
So
weird.
so when you start to learn about your body and how it really works, how the energy inside of it works, when you learn how to access different parts of your body, for example, especially your abdomen, how to become centered there instead of up high in your mind, then you start you basically start changing your reality. Your because it's in your body, like your body, everything is, I don't know really how to say it. It's like your body is the microcosm and the reality is the macrocosm. That is the only microcosm and macrocosm that I actually relate to, by realizing that when I am completely in my body, when I'm completely in charge of my vibratory state, then I am sourced in the now, and I give rise to all experience, to all encounters. Everything that I come across uh, would be revolving around me in a sense. When I'm very grounded, I would see my energy actually having an effect on everyone that is in front of me. Everyone will also appear harmonious. Even somebody that someone has told me has got a major issue, has got a major problem, somebody like that would appear in my field of energy, would appear quite fine while I'm encountering a person like that, just because I'm so grounded in my body. But when you're not grounded in your body, then the agent is probably going to get you.
Oh, well, you just brought up a whole thought. For those of us who are healers and help other people, we won't be doing that anymore. And if we're truly centered and in the now, because everybody around us will be healed, is that really what
Yeah.
the fifth dimensional reality or the new earth is then? Everybody's already healed, we all made it type thing? Because we
Well, that's
changed
what
our
it that's
own.
what it feels like. That's what it feels like. It feels like we are at the end of this entire era that we've just gone through. We've at the end of it. Mission completed, successful. It's all been done, completed. Now it's like, okay, what now? What's gonna happen now?
Yeah, I was going to say
Well,
because once, okay,
that's
let's just say once. So do you agree that there will be this moment, this shift to where when we individually, I guess, but every time someone individually does it, it affects the collective to where more people
yeah,
will be able
for
to
sure,
get in that moment.
sure,
So individually, when
yeah,
we're in that moment, and there will be a shift in our reality to where
yeah,
everyone around us, we're connecting with their higher parts of them that have already shifted because we made it, and they're like throwing a
yeah.
party for us.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big celebration. I like to think so.
Yeah. Well, and it's really hard for us to put these words to it. But, when we connect with our higher self, when we actually embody our higher self, then sometimes we get these images of what we want to say and we can't really get it
Yeah,
out. So, yeah,
yeah,
I still, sometimes, some days I can't even talk anymore. Literally, I'll try to have a conversation with Greg, and what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling does not come out of my mouth. So I think we're all getting there. And so I don't want to take too much time away from everything that you wanted to say. I'm a very inquisitive person because I know I'm tuning into my audience and I know what they want to hear because we're all just trying to understand how this is happening, what it's going to be like. And of course, we shouldn't even do that. We should just allow it to unfold and create it from the now moment. But what else did
yeah.
you want to talk about in this show?
Mm, I think I've mentioned everything that I aimed to mention. I think the message has been brought down to earth.
Okay.
If there's anything else you'd like to ask, you're
Yes.
welcome.
Yes. Um, I think you and I have discussed in the last 2 months, we have seen a huge shift personally,
Mm, yeah,
collectively, and I think there's smaller groups called the First Waivers. second
Yeah.
waivers, to where I think I hope I'm intending that I went through my last section or reality of clearing to where I what may be perceived as an attack physically, like down on my back for 2 weeks, um, ultimately may have been just myself merging with my one of my lower aspects merging with myself,
Mm,
and
yeah.
my using my physical body as a clearing mechanism. But I hope that that seems like the last vestiges of what I needed to go through in this quote attack method, to where these agent Smiths are able to see us anymore. What do you feel?
Yeah. I I feel it's disappearing completely. All evil, all unconsciousness, all darkness on the plane is is busy disappearing. It's being cleaned out. And I think next year is going to be a massive year. Not just next year, the next 2 3 years, we're going to see it all. We're going to see it all come crashing down. Everything that is not serving the human beings on planet Earth. And every time there is a shift, a major shift in consciousness, which we have experienced this year a few times, the ball game changes. It's always, it's like you find yourself in a different reality, and it's not the same anymore at all to a previous reality just 3 4 months ago. And that is mainly the individual's responsibility to um, to make it unfold, because it is still all coming out of you, the individual. So every time you learn something new, or you're being shown something by a teacher, you do make the shift in consciousness, and the status quo changes. So, like I was telling you in our conversation before the interview, the whole Agent Smith thing is not relative at all anymore, in my personal reality. Even with the family, even with the parents, even with the brother, with everyone, I don't experience the same relationship that I had, you know, a few months ago. It's like everything changes with you. As you change, everyone else also changes in the way they perceive you, because they can't help but reflect the change you have within. That is the oneness. That's the law of ether. Everyone energizes what you hold in your center. So, for example, if you did have an agent in the past, you probably had some rubbish in your center, and the agents were reflecting that. So, eventually, when you do hit the 0 point again, then it's like you're inside of everyone. It does sound a bit, can sound egotistical, but you are inside of everyone. You've
Wow.
always been inside of everyone, and you've
Wow.
always been one.
So you could literally move your consciousness into someone else and feel what they're feeling and see what they're seeing.
For sure.
That is so cool. Now, I have been on what I'm going to call a fast track, hard and fast track to what I call ascension, which is the 0 point. And the way I have done it is I've had to go through these layers of healing, to where there have
Yeah.
been some things that have had to be identified, and in order for me to unprogram them. For example, past lives, things, identities in
Mm.
past lives, being killed at a certain way, where, traumatically, where that's been carried in my DNA, or thinking I was a somebody with more knowledge than others, different, just all these different things. Ancestrally, with my current family that I was born into, carrying all the ancestral DNA, a lot of that had to be cleared. Um,
Yeah, for
Depression,
sure.
anger, fear, hatred, these things.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
reptilian brain and the reptilian DNA that I have, keeping me
Mm,
separate, keeping me disconnected, and then the matrix programming itself. All of these
yeah.
things I've had to work on by seeing them for what they are, acknowledging that I agreed to do that, and then unprogramming myself basically,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
have gone
yeah.
through a lot of physical shifts as well. But for someone who's just waking up and they're moving very fast, some of these children, I'm talking maybe the children of legal age, let's say 18 to
Mm,
25-year olds, or even anyone else who's waking up, whether you're
mm,
60 or
mm.
70, what is the best way? Is there a fast track of just oneness? Can you just go to Tibet and go to a monastery and clear it all at once? How do you feel about that? I know everyone's on their individual path,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
how can we fast forward this for people? Do you know?
To fast forward it for other people is possible by being in your grounded state, by being an example of 100% pure beingness. It does affect other people without them knowing it. Um, that does have a major effect. I don't think there is a fast track, fast food, or fast way of just going from one point of the universe all the way to the other. But then again, everyone is different. The many people talk of the indigo children. Many beings come here and they have no veils, they have no healing to do. They already, you can say, avatar. And
Yeah.
avatar is again just a word, but basically the definition of an avatar is somebody that is in the now, somebody that is soul center. Now, when you are soul center, you're in the now, and that means you also have your avatar. You have your vehicle. You can do with your vehicle what you like. You can manifest anything you like. Well, I won't say anything you like, but anything you believe is giving to the universe, is allowing the universe to know itself. Um, and of course, I did say that when you're not soul centered, obviously something else is in your center, and then you're not in the now. You're out of the now. So it's quite simple when you use that terminology, and I think anyone can understand that. If you can't understand that, maybe um, you have more stuff to work through.
Yeah,
And
so let me just expand on
yeah.
that and say, if I were to give anyone any advice on how to move forward, I would say throw out all your books, forget everything you know,
Mm, yes.
um, forget about any kind of teacher telling you that you've got to do things a certain way, go through a
Yeah.
certain course, that you
Mm,
have any problems at all.
yeah.
Disidentify with anything,
Yeah.
any limitations,
Yeah.
and see. So the more that we study, the more that we read, and the more that we listen to others, the more trained and deepened we get in the matrix. And if I had to do it all
Exactly.
over again, if I I may do this, if I could go back in the timeline to when I first began to awaken, I would just never study any of those things. It's almost like entertainment in a way.
Yeah,
And of
for sure.
course, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be having a radio show helping people realize that they're in a
Mm,
matrix. But
yeah. So basically, what you're doing now, and what I'm also doing, is I'm basically you saving yourself from the matrix, and I'm saving myself uh, from the matrix. We're all saving ourselves
yeah, you had to
from
know
the
that there
from
was
the
a
matrix.
matrix to begin with. But I went through
Yes,
so
that's
many
it.
things, so many. clearings, healings. You know, if someone tells you you have a problem, then you own it. If someone tells you,
There we go.
oh, look at all this ancestral stuff that you're carrying in your DNA, well, then you
Mm.
own it. But if you were to tell
Yes.
yourself, I am perfect, I am a perfect creation of the one, and I don't have any issues, and I do not consent to this reality, or well, you know, we still have this thing called the veil, and like you said, there are these children. You know, I have a website dedicated to these children called thestarchildren.net, that they
Yeah.
literally are embodying who they really are. They don't have this veil. So let's just get down
Mm.
to this veil. Is
Yeah.
there a veil because we say there's a veil? Well, not really, because if we're not aware of the veil, which before I quote awakened, I wasn't aware
Mm.
that there was a veil. I didn't know that there was a
Yeah.
matrix.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So apparently this gets triggered by our higher self, that we began to question things, and then we find out
Yes.
about the veil. What's the so the best way to get rid of the veil is just to put your feet on Mother Earth, ground yourself, um, and perhaps for me, there were some things that had to be addressed. So I had to accept that
Mm.
I had past life trauma. I had to accept that I had ancestral DNA problems so that I could clear them. Sometimes they just have to come up before they can be
Yeah.
cleared. But most,
Yeah. Look.
maybe you could do it all like a one mantra that says, "I do not accept any ancestral DNA. I do not accept any past life." You know, maybe somebody could come up with
That's
something like that to just
that's
knock it all
also,
out.
yeah. You know, you don't want to. It's something that you sorted out, and then it's done and it's finished. It's not something that you want to make a habit, and because then it becomes a kind of a resistance against everything that you don't want, and we all know that what you resist persists.
Persists.
I think our relationship with nature is very important. I think nature itself does embody perfection, and there's a lot to learn from nature. Um, because I mean, nature is giving us everything we need, but unfortunately, our relationship with nature is all screwed up. So um, we don't get everything we need from nature. We prefer to use other means to get paper money, and of course that whole concept is the created matrix that we've all, you know, come to worship once upon a time, because everyone was unconscious in the past, including me. I was, you know, sleeping beauty once upon a time when I was a teenager, but
Yeah.
thankfully thankfully there came a time where I started questioning. And of course, the questioning thing is the beginning of the whole awakening process. You start to question everything.
What's
And
interesting, Arno, is that we're doing this for ourselves, but we're also doing it because we volunteered to come do it for ourselves so that we could show others what to do. Would you agree with that? Some of
yes,
us? Okay.
yeah, yeah, I do.
And that's in other words, well, you know, in other words, we're taking on the role of the ones who were lost in the reality because it wasn't moving anywhere. It was just becoming stagnant in cycles
Yeah,
over and over again.
yes.
So, when this, what, how is this affecting our relationships with other people for those who are still struggling? I mean, unfortunately, sometimes we find ourselves better off alone, but on the other hand, we need some kind of mirror to help see what needs to be cleared. What do you want to,
Yeah,
yeah, what do you want to offer people about relationships right now?
relationships, of course, is a reflection of what's going on inside you. Um, we all know the feeling of if you go on a retreat for a few weeks, you don't see a single human being for 3 weeks, maybe a month, and then you, for the first time again, you see a human being. It's a massive fright, and it's a massive fright because you see yourself again, um, and yourself is the only thing that is relative in all of existence, because the soul, like human beings, us as human beings on the planet, we do have souls, and we are all one. Everything is an illusion except for us here. That's the only real thing. And when we see, when you are perceived by another and you're perceiving the other, that is basically the universe meeting itself right there. And the more it can meet itself, the sooner we will experience complete oneness and the reality again. The reason why it's not meeting itself is because of hiding. Like the list I told you earlier, hide and God is connected to each other. So um, you will realize that the most evil people in the world are actually hiding from all of reality as much as they can, because they
But
just don't
that's
want to see
you?
themselves.
But that's you hiding from yourself?
Yeah, that's you.
So what do you
That's
do?
you
I
hiding.
mean, you're wanting to stay all zen and everything, but you've got a partner who's triggering you and you see the fear within your partner, but you're trying to work on yourself for the collective to shift
Mm,
reality. So do you end
yes.
up staying with that person and really working very hard on yourself not to be triggered and send them unconditional love? Or is it okay to let them go and move off on your own path?
Of course, it is okay to let someone go, and it is for the individual to be able to tell if the other partner is benefiting the development, because the relationship is all about spiritual development, because you do experience yourself again much more than usual when you are in an active relationship. So it's kind of like you can fast forward your progress when you're
Mm,
in a relationship. That's the way I experience it. And also what I have noticed is that when my partner does trigger me, when I do react, and then after the whole situation, I will sit and look back at the experience. I will also notice that I also played a part in
yes.
the whole thing. And as long as I can see my own part in the distortion, then that relationship is still worthy to me, because I can see that there's still parts of me that I have to work on in the relationship, and the other person is basically helping with that. And you know, it depends how connected you feel to the other person. Um, if you experience that person in your dream, um, if you feel it's worth it, because we all know about how important it is to not have many partners, because simply you do tie yourself into a lot of karma of other people. So for me, it's also really important to really like find one person that you can trust, and the other person and you yourself is completely dedicated to each other, to the relationship. Trust is a big thing, and if you can find someone that wants to see you be the greatest you can be, and you want to see the other person be the greatest she can be or he can be, then that's a great recipe to fast forward progress. I think, because like I said, it's in that meeting of consciousness. To be is to be perceived. That is what was said in a movie. I can't think the name of it now. But to be is to be perceived, and the more you are perceived, the more you recollect, the more you gather of your one original self, because it's in that perception where your higher self can pinpoint what is the distortion, what is coming from programming that is false, that is lies, you know. So definitely, I do think you can make much faster progress with another person than in a temple meditating for as long as you can.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so we have to let go of the need to control and
Mm,
to force
yeah.
commitments from the other
Yeah.
person. And so, like,
That's also a big thing.
yeah, for instance, Greg and I, we both been married twice, and we both have no desire whatsoever to use the commitment of marriage, the legal system. There's no need
Mm,
for it anymore, and we wouldn't force that upon each other. And he actually has drawn two relationships to him um, that mirror his original relationship with his mother, which was one of control. And of course, neither one of them worked out. But you have to
yeah.
wonder what part of that in him is mirroring that back to him. Is it a lack of control or is it control? So, yeah, these are things that we all work on because I used to be a very controlling person, but
Mm,
but that's all because you carry fear. But once I woke up and then I started doing my own work, I had begun to let go of some of that control, and that is very interesting how our relationship came
mm,
about with someone who was attracting so much control to him, but yet
yeah.
it has allowed me to master not being in control because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate to Greg's experience. If you do have a parent or a mother that is very controlling, that does tend to stay in your subconscious mind. That figure, that feminine, that because your mother is your divine feminine, your femininity does come from your first exposure to a feminine aspect or archetype in the reality. So if your mother is the idea of what it is to be a female for a man, at least, if you're a man, and your mother's example of what it is to be female, and you relate to that, and you become attached to that in childhood, of course, that does seem to remain active into adulthood, and you do materialize a partner that is pretty much the same for some reason. And the only way to sort that out is, of course, to sort out the relationship in physicality with the mother self, to change that, because that has the most power to basically to have a domino effect on all other relationships that you experience. And for a woman, I believe the same counts for a man. So your first idea of the masculine, of the man, will also pretty much your relationship with your father, of course, will dictate what you experience with men in your life. So
So true. So really,
so true.
yeah. So what Greg has shown me is from being, and he doesn't mind us talking about this because we've talked about it on other shows, but from being someone
Yeah.
who stays grounded, who stays very simple, he calls himself a simpleton on Facebook. He's showing that there's nothing to control. There's nothing here to control. So why do you need to be controlling?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? So, but
Yeah.
for our past relationships, we both knew when it wasn't working out anymore that we needed to get out of those, and that helped us grow and move towards being more centered and grounded without being triggered. So, some people are finding themselves definitely wanting out of their old relationships because their partner isn't either isn't
Mm.
awakening or
Yeah.
isn't raising what we call in the spiritual terms, which is just words, raising your vibration, which means increasing your consciousness and being more centered and grounded in who you really are, rather than the lower vibration of the matrix control
Mm,
system. So, yeah, some people
yeah.
are finding themselves moving away from their partners and seeking other partners when
Mm,
there is the period of time
yeah.
that you go through where once you work on yourself, after you leave a relationship, you realize, well, maybe it didn't work out because I have a lot of work to do on myself.
Yeah.
We
Exactly.
we tend to judge other people and say that they're doing things wrong, and in fact,
Mm,
it's yeah, we really once we fill that hole in ourselves and love ourselves and accept who we are, then we can magnetize the right person to have a very healthy relationship and finish out this mirroring.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Agreed.
Cool. Well, as I think we're at the end of the show here, I look forward to your book, Deprogramming the Matrix. Was that it?
Deprogram the matrix. That's it.
Deprogram the Matrix. Now,
Yeah.
your website is deprogramthematrix.wordpress.com for now. And
Mm,
you can find, I'm going to put links to some of my favorite articles that I've
yeah.
published of yours on my website, howtoexitthematrix.com. I will put those links at the bottom of this YouTube. And
All right.
please check out dreamcatcherreality.com, which was a portion in your life where you really contributed with a lot of matrix information for those who were still going down the rabbit hole. But what I think is so
Yes.
fascinating is to meet up with people and talk to them in person who are actually moving to that next stage, which is focusing on creating what we want for our new
Mm,
reality while we're here in the
yeah.
body,
Yes. Yes.
and not so
That's
much as focusing on the fact that we are in a matrix, basically focusing on the fact that we're exiting from the matrix and deprogramming from the matrix. And I look forward to hearing what you
yeah.
have to say about that in your book.
Yeah. You know, it's very wonderful for me to make this book available, and I really think it has a massive part to play in freeing freeing people completely.
It's been a very mind expanding, centering, grounding, loving talk with you today.
You're welcome, Michelle. It's been a pleasure talking with you too.
Okay, well, take care, and you will update your website when your book is available. You'll be updating your website when your book is available. Is that where people can find out more
Yeah,
about where
yeah.
how to get your
The
book?
book. Yeah, so the website is deprogramthematrix.com, and if you visit the website, you'll even find more new information that I'm always adding as it comes to me, which is not even in the book. The book is mainly there for people that would like to see the numerology and the connections in the words, which does by far have the most impact on.
Beautiful. I kind of lost you there again, so I'm going to go ahead and end the show. I appreciate you coming on, and
Shifting. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I had just lost you there for a moment, but thank you again and have a
it's all right.
wonderful rest of your day.
Okay.
Bye
All right.
now.
Okay. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.